Today, we're going to talk about buying or starting a business in your youth. Greycen Robson. He bought Urban Grounds coffee trailer from Anthony and I.
I was 19. It was 2020, August. Coffee is my passion. I do like seeing people enjoy what I make them. I like making the drinks. I go to any new coffee shop I can see. Going to other shops, seeing what everyone else is doing, as well as learning constantly.
What I can tell you folks is if you have the opportunity to go to a convention, a conference, a festival that is focused in the area of your business, take it.
Right.
Oh my God, take it. Welcome to the Every Turn Podcast, a place for entrepreneurs to tell their stories, share some of their industry knowledge and secrets, explore their challenges, and yes, of course, their successes found within it all. I'm your host, Chad Chase, and I look forward to sharing this week's episode with all of you. So let's dive right in. Hello, my friends, and welcome to this episode of the Every Turn Podcast. This show is not possible without your support. So please like, subscribe, follow, and most importantly, we'll go back to subscribe again. Subscribe on your favorite podcast channel or YouTube. So on YouTube, you can watch this live. You can see what we look like, what's going on. On the podcast channel, you're just going to hear our voices. And I don't think I could have been a phone sex operator back in the 90s. I don't have that kind of voice. But maybe I do. All right. Today, we're going to talk about Greycen Robson. Is that how you say your last name?
Robson.
Yeah. Robson. Yeah. Perfect. I've known Greycen for quite some time. He bought Urban Grounds coffee trailer from Anthony and I. How many years has it been?
It's hard for me to track. Time moves a lot differently.
Yeah, right? It's starting to speed up. Yeah. Just wait till you get older.
What's it been, like 4?
You have been 2020 or 2021. So yeah, probably 3.
I was 19. It was 2020, August 2020.
19.
Yeah. So it's
in the right mind would have sold a business to a 19-year-old, which is also kind of the topic of the day. Not only are we going to dive into a little bit of drama that we've been through, some fun experiences we've been through. I think the overarching conversation for me is buying or starting a business in your youth.
Mm-hmm.
There's some questions we'll ask later on that kind of encompass all of those things. And it is not easy to do. And so we'll get into that piece. First off, I want to ask you a few questions about your business. It's Urban Grounds Coffee.
Mm-hmm.
It's a mobile business.
Right.
It's a trailer. So we got those things down. How many locations do you have?
Just the one trailer. No brick and mortar yet. I want to open one.
There's a tease.
It's hard to find the right location that Starbucks already hasn't found the corner on.
I thought about you the other day. There is a coffee company out of Colorado that built a brand new building. Feels very out of place. Their menu is weird. There's never a line. I think that space will come up available at some point.
Be nice.
And it's a nice location. It's a nice building. I think their problem is that their branding is very disconnected.
Mm-hmm.
The logo looks weird. It doesn't remind me of coffee. The name doesn't remind me of coffee. So there's a few things that I think are really struggling. So if I ever see it closed down, I'll get in touch with you and we can figure out how to get you in there.
Yeah.
How many team members do you have?
It's really just me. A lot of the time I do have help from my brother or my friends, but most of the time I'm at events alone. Figured out how to do it and run it efficiently solo. So it's really the easiest way to do it for me.
Best way to lose money is to hire people.
Do have help on busy events, but then it's just me and maybe 2 other people, one to take orders, one to ice drinks, but I'm still making the drinks.
You know, I am quite surprised. that you haven't harnessed the power of iPads yet and put in self-ordering stations on the front of that thing.
I thought about it, but I know the customers just can't do it correctly. They would mess up their own drinks. I would make what's on the screen. They wouldn't like what they get.
I also think that might be okay for events, but the farmer's market, it really is all about you. I mean,
Yeah.
don't get me wrong. There were people at the farmer's market that did not like me and probably still don't. But there are a lot of people that you build kind of this relationship with.
Yeah.
And it's important.
I know almost everyone's order there. Some of them switch it up a few times, even though I already have their order ready. That's fine. They should explore the menu and buy new things, but
I guarantee you that they appreciate, right. And you know their order.
Yeah.
And I guarantee you they appreciate, even if they do switch it up, they appreciate you having their regular drink ready.
Right.
And you just knowing that.
I have customers that bring me gifts every week. They're awesome.
Yeah. I do miss that aspect of it.
The people are great.
Yeah. Besides me selling the business, what inspired you to buy it?
Just working in coffee for a long time. Coffee is my passion. I do like seeing people enjoy what I make them. Even if it's something they've never had before or something they order every week. I like making the drinks. So even if I work in a coffee shop, well, I guess I wouldn't say that. I don't want to work for anyone anymore, knowing what I can do alone.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to make the coffee. So now I get to make the coffee and sell it, and that profit is mine.
Yeah. Money is the ultimate inspiration for most of us. I think I know the answer to this, but did you write a business plan or do a feasibility study prior to purchasing it?
No. I did some math to see if I could still pay the bills with the price of the trailer, price of all of the products, what I have to have on hand. And it kind of worked. It didn't work with what the trailer was doing currently, but I knew that I could bring it to higher levels and kind of exponentially grow the business. And that's what I kind of based any kind of feasibility on, but no business plan, because it was a running business.
Yeah. To give our watchers and listeners kind of an idea of this too. So Anthony and I bought it in 2019, had it rehabilitated into a state-of-the-art mobile coffee shop. Anthony worked for me for about a year and a half until he quit. And then that's where I found you and started working for me over the next few years until I bought Chadwick's and decided that it was time to sell it. One thing is we only operated it on Saturdays at the farmer's market because we were busy trying to build out the farm at the time when we bought it. Our intentions were that we'd make the investment, use that money to build the farm. So we really didn't want to do things beyond Saturdays.
Right.
I think there's two things about that. I think you definitely realize that there's potential beyond just Saturdays.
Mm-hmm.
The other piece is I know that I held you back. Well, not you, but I think you believed I held the business back in certain aspects because there was different roads I wouldn't go down.
You were too busy with everything else.
Well, and I was like this purist.
You were a purist. I added a lot of stuff to the menu. That's 50% of my income is now, or not the income of sales for the trailer is lemonade and energy drinks now.
And I would not, I would not do that.
Yeah.
We could talk probably all day kind of about the window that entrepreneurs have. And that window is your business.
Right.
And you set that up and you have to say, okay, this is what I'm going to do. And that's all I'm going to do for right now to make sure that I'm good at it. And then beyond that, I can grow my window. I can change my window. I could adapt my window. But at that time, I kind of thought it made us into just another food truck,
right.
type of thing. I don't believe that now, obviously. I think in business, you always have your ear to the ground and you're always listening to what your customers want.
Mhm.
So if your customers want lemonade, give them lemonade.
Yeah. It's important to have your niche. Like if you were a purist coffee truck, that's awesome. But the people that are just walking around a market or walking around whatever event you're at, they kind of do want everything. So I kind of make it a point to have everything in the trailer that kind of a drink would need other than soda.
Yeah. You know, and I think what I'll say is I believe you were lucky to have access to the books per se. I mean, we were pretty open about what we were making.
Mm-hmm.
You know, the expenses for us were very minimal because we had the unit paid off.
Right.
You know, the trailer paid off. We paid for it. And that made a big difference to us. So, you know, you knew what the calculations were going to be based off of our revenue plus, you know, whatever it was going to cost to purchase the trailer. So most people don't have that opportunity, I guess.
And you didn't.
Right. Yeah. Oh, that was weird. We've had some experiences for sure. Looking back at those first baby steps you took versus where you are now, what hurdles did you face that you thought were going to be insurmountable?
Starting out, it was very hard to get myself into different markets. So I'm talking farmers markets and stuff. Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are the days they're usually held, but they all kind of already have a coffee truck or coffee stand. Maybe they have a lemonade stand or a shave ice. So they don't want to have multiple. Most markets have maybe two, but one of each concept is kind of where they stand. So kind of just working my way into different markets, I thought was going to be very hard. And it was very hard for a while until we made the name more known to the point where we're getting invited to these markets and different events.
Yeah. When we first bought the dang thing, I was extremely nervous, because the builder was taking forever to build it due to several factors. And then the first farmers market that we ended up at was ran by somebody who we won't mention her name, but they run about 7 farmers markets in the Valley. And they're really only have one that produces any good numbers. Mm-hmm. There might be 2 that come in second to that. But the way they try leveraging you as a vendor is they want you to go to the poor markets or the poor performing markets, I should say, in order for you to even get an invitation to the performing one.
If that invitation ever comes.
And it doesn't usually. So we ended up at one in Avondale, tiny farmers market. I have $150,000 trailer there burning through, $30, $40 in diesel. And we made $40.
Yeah.
And that's in revenue. That was not in profit.
Mm-hmm.
I was so disheartened, and I don't know if it is anymore, but it used to have nice, shiny stainless steel all over. And I remember standing there thinking, what did I do? This was a big mistake. Oh, I felt like my gut fell out of my butt at that moment, because I was just like, how could we have made such an awful calculation? But
it's difficult. They overpromise the amount of people that are going to be there. They can say, 1,000-person event. So even if you think, well, maybe 20% will come, you're thinking you'll make 200 drinks, and then you buy $200 worth of beans, $100 in milks. You have your $200 in syrups and cups. So you're out $500 in supplies only to sell $50 worth of product. Mm-hmm. Very difficult.
Yeah. Oh God, that is, but kind of like the same experience that you had. We continued to try, continued to grow. Mm-hmm. You did the things that you necessarily didn't make any money at. But at one point, I felt like for us, and that was getting into the downtown Phoenix farmers market, was this pivotal moment where we were finally going to make money.
And I'm lucky I got to start with that market. They're just Saturday at the downtown farmers market. I won't miss that. Even if someone else offers a different event that might make $1,000, I'm going to stay at the Saturday downtown Phoenix farmers market because they are our market. Yep. I'm not going to leave.
I always felt like it was like the brick and mortar location for us, because your customers, I struggle with this all the time, and with Chadwick's too, but with the farmer's market, it's where it kind of started for me. Was if you showed up at Target today, the store Target, and they were closed, and then you thought, oh, okay, well, I don't know why they're closed, but I'm going to go home. And then you went back there a few days later and they were open. And then you went back a few days later and they were closed again.
Right.
Without any notice or reason, you would stop going there because the unpredictability isn't worth it. And in today's society of instant gratification, individuals expect there to be consistency. Right. So if I wake up and I skip out making coffee here because I know I'm going to the farmer's market and I am going to go to Urban Grounds Coffee and they're not there, that amount of disappointment to me as a customer is like, what happened? And I'll be angry in that moment. And then if I see a post on social media that, oh my gosh, all 4 tires blew out and never made it. Yeah. I would have an understanding in that moment. But if it was like hit or miss every other week because you kept taking other gigs that you thought were going to do better, you will slowly erode your customer base at the farmer's market. That is what always went through my head.
It's not worth taking an extra 50% more in income for the day than just being at the same spot every Saturday for the entire year.
Yeah. I think it's more valuable to miss a market to take a vacation for yourself than to try taking another gig.
I agree.
What's your view of those hurdles now that you've been doing this for a while?
It's a lot easier now. Now the name's more known. People know how to contact us, and well, they know, for one, we don't do anything Saturday mornings. If it's a Saturday night, we'll be there. But we get invited to events. When I was first starting, I would comment on every looking for a coffee truck post, trying to get different, just spots to show up. Now people invite us. I haven't written underneath we have 200 people here. Urban Grounds will show up. I don't do that anymore. I don't need to. They ask us to be there. It's a lot better now.
That is both crazy, and you have to be extremely proud about that too. Yeah. I mean, that's a good feeling to get to.
It is.
Like a comfort level for sure.
Getting emails all the time like, hey, we have an event. Can you be here? Well, yeah, sure.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's great.
What's the one thing you feel you are an expert at now that you've owned your business for some time?
Still not an expert at anything. Everything is still changing all the time. Every single day, something new happens, whether it's 5 gallons of milk spilt on the floor or a few bottles of syrup broke open and they're everywhere right before you have to start service. But now I'm a bit better at, say, sourcing and buying the right amount of supplies. Like we talked about earlier, you'd buy $500 in supplies just to make 50. Now I kind of know what the event's going to be. I know I'll only bring 3 pounds of beans and 8 gallons of milk. Different for my business in specific than anyone else's. I guess if you have a coffee business, it's the same, but just buying the right amount of supplies and not putting anything to waste at the end of the week is a lot nicer now.
Yeah, I think any food and beverage business focuses on waste and how do you reuse product.
Yeah.
Stale bread turns into croutons for salads. That's just the way food and beverage businesses operate. Something that I didn't realize off the bat when I, started Urban Grounds, but when I got into Chadwick's, which had a cafe, the chef that I hired definitely taught me some of the tricks of the trade. And I'll be forever thankful for those people in my life that showed me kind of the pieces of the puzzle that I didn't necessarily have. And that brings me back to always making sure you hire the right people at the right time. And you're a good example of that. I needed the right person. And I remember interviewing you, and it's funny enough, I have a notebook that I have your resume in with all the notes that I wrote on it. And your resume was extremely short.
Yeah. Well, it was a automatically generated Facebook resume. I do have a better resume, I promise.
And but the interview piece was the best part for me because, you know, you were so young. You were, I don't think you were 18 yet. You were 17, maybe.
I was 17.
And you had such a passion for coffee.
Yeah.
You know, the way you were talking about it and stuff. I thought, yeah, okay, this will work. And so, you know, the rest is history, I guess, with that one. Oh, this is my favorite question. All of us that have owned a business have had moments of complete despair and have wanted to throw in the towel. Share a moment you have had like that and how you had overcome it.
We had an event only 6 months in after we bought the trailer. We thought everything was great. You know, generator was low hours, maybe 1,000 on there. We're at close to 5,000 now. Showed up to this event. Everyone was outside waiting. We already had everything warmed up. All of a sudden, generator shut off. Coolant started spraying everywhere. Everyone was really nice about it. They offered to help us. I ran to the AutoZone around the corner to get more coolant because maybe it was just out. It was not the case. We got home.
It was out, but it was out on the ground.
It was all over the ground. They were very nice about it. Luckily, it was an industrial complex and not like a school where we're all over their basketball court.
Yeah.
Turns out the water pump belt had snapped. Just as a maintenance item. But that took us out for 3 weeks. So a week of me trying to figure it out on my own and take apart the generator while it's still inside its enclosure in the trailer. Turned out to be impossible. We had to take it back to the trailer builders and have them take it out with a forklift, call a diesel mechanic, and everyone work together kind of to fix that water pump belt issue. But we had to rent a generator for 2 separate markets and barely made any money at those markets because we had to pay for the generator. Really difficult.
Yeah. Some of our listeners and viewers, they're not an entrepreneur yet. So they haven't started a business or don't own one currently. And I cannot express fully some of those moments, just like you've described, where you were just like, everyone's probably changed a tire before on a busy road. And that's literally what it feels like. You're in complete despair.
Everything's going wrong. Cars, you feel the wind, you hear the noise. They're blowing past you. It's constant. Right. There's no lull where you can actually think. Like, you got to think in the moment through all this chaos. You got to get your tire changed, and you literally just want. I always think about this poem. It's a Catholic poem, and it's Footprints in the Sand, where it talks about one set of footprints and in the sand. And then I realized that it was Jesus carrying me. And I'm always yearn for that moment where I'm like, that moment inside of that moment where it's like, oh my God, I just want somebody to come take this problem away. Right. And I want to be on a beach, somewhere else. So yeah, I have definitely had those moments, a lot of them. And, mental health in entrepreneurship is something that I don't think is talked about a lot. We'll eventually do an episode on it. And I am going to open up about my own struggles that I've had and some of the things that I have done and tried, whether it's coping skills or various medications and stuff like that I think definitely are beneficial to folks. So shameless plug, stay tuned for that episode. Should be a lot of fun. Fun. Yeah.
Yeah. Fun. A lot of fun. But yeah, I definitely have had that experience of complete despair, and you describing that moment just resonates with me so much. All right. This is going to be something different for our viewers and our listeners. We are going to play Trivia with Greycen. Actually, not even trivia. It's just true or false. Okay. So the way this is going to work is I'm going to read a statement. We're going to leave a little bit of a pause for the viewers and listeners to come up with an answer in their own mind. After that, Greyson's going to tell us whether it's true or false and tell us a story as to why it's true or false. I'll try to add some of my own commentary because miraculously, I think Greyson's going to forget some of these instances. All right, Greyson, are you ready?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Question 1. Greyson poured hot coffee on a customer. All right, audience. Got your answer? And now, here's Greyson's answer.
It is true.
Damn, Greyson. Why is that true?
Very nice gentleman. Still can't figure out his name. He's told us maybe 3 different names.
I know we've always called him the wrong name.
Very nice guy. I'd say he's in his 70s, rides an electric scooter around, though we know he can walk. And he's very athletic for his age.
Yeah, because one time, this instance happened back when I owned the coffee trailer. So we were standing there in the coffee trailer. Out of the corner of my eye, I saw him whizzing by on a street bike in bicycle.
Full Lycra.
Yeah, totally packed in there, flying by. And I'm like, I thought he couldn't walk. Okay, so
he orders his regular, which is a hot Americano with cinnamon powder.
Yep.
And I make it. It's steaming. The Americano water's from the espresso machine. It's around 215 degrees.
It's
way too hot.
Muy caliente.
Yes. Put the lid on it, and the lids sometimes don't seal right. This day, the lids were sealing fantastically. So I go to hand it to him. There's a lip on the trailer window. It catches that lip, points straight towards him, and like a water gun shoots out of the drinking hole straight at his chest, soaking him.
Like a friggin' super soaker.
Mm-hmm.
You were mortified. I was mortified. The stray alley cats were mortified.
Yes.
He was like panicking. We didn't know what to do.
You could tell he was in pain. We were very scared.
I was freaking out. I thought, I don't have McDonald's money. I can't afford a lawsuit right now. Like, here's the keys. This is now yours. I hope this can hook up to your bicycle or your electric scooter. Oh my God. So I remember later in the day, he comes back. I take his Americano out to him because I want to see, because he orders another one and I want to see how well he is. So I talk to him and I tell him, if you have to go to the urgent care, don't worry about it. We'll pay for it. Just let us know how much it is. Mm-hmm. And he's like, oh no, I don't need to go, but he starts unbuttoning his shirt because he wants to show me how burnt he is. And I'm like, oh my God, there's no hair is going to grow there for probably 6 years. So I give him that. He comes up to say goodbye to us out the window. And I looked at him and I said, hey, next Americano's on us because the last one was on you. Mm-hmm. And you laughed, I laughed, everybody laughed. It ended out to be okay, but
he still showed up the next week. Got another Americano. We asked him how he was doing.
Yeah,
it still hurts, but I'm okay.
I think he said he's putting cream on it.
Yeah,
probably still puts cream on it. That's how hot that was. How many years later?
Saw him last week. He still comes to the market.
One of my favorite customers.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Second question. The height of Greyson's career with me was March of 2020. True or false? All right, listeners and watchers, time for Greyson's answer.
It's a hard one. I'm not entirely sure. I'd say true because at that point you had stepped back from the trailer.
Not yet. Not in the No, not yet.
2020?
That was the beginning of 2020. So the answer
right.
is false. It was the beginning of the pandemic. And that was a height of...
You're right. Yeah.
None of our careers, to be honest. And the first, it was weird, right? The first week, I removed all of the tables. We used to set tables out. Mm-hmm. And I thought, I don't want people gathering because I worked for public health for 5 years. I knew how things were transmitted. So I thought, let's try to reduce the amount of touch points and maybe we can keep this going for some time. Remove the tables. Next week, no cash. I didn't know cash. The president of the board of the farmer's market came up to me. What are you doing? You're freaking people out. I'm like, I'm not freaking people out. I'm doing what I feel is necessary to make sure that we are all going to be in business come next week.
Right.
Guess what? None of us were in business next week.
Mm-hmm.
So the third week, all the food trucks were gone. It was really weird. The farmer's market manager at the time reached back out to me and said, we want you guys to come back because we think you understand protocol to ensure people are safe and people need some normalcy.
Mm-hmm.
So we go back the next week and oh my God, it was the weirdest thing ever. 50% of the vendors were there. It really was just food, groceries and
essentials.
Yeah. The essentials really
they had deemed the farmers markets essential.
Yeah. And, we hung out in that trailer for how long? And then I remember I was getting so anxious. I mean, we polished that damn stainless steel 1,000 times. And so I finally would say, you got control. I'm going to go wander around downtown because I can't be in here one more second. And so false.
Yeah.
It was the lowest point of your career.
I forgot what happened in 2020.
I only remember it because we had some amazing videos we shot, which we won't talk about. Okay. Third and final question. Greycen once lost us $40 in iced tea. True or false, audience? Ding. Time's up. Greycen?
I don't remember which incident this is. I'm not entirely sure. I know. I guess I need to know what you're talking about, so I can't answer this one.
So this one is true. However, the tea we didn't sell during the day. Greycen always kind of closed things up for me. Could you trust Greycen?
I remember this one now. Okay.
Could you trust them to strap down the 4-gallon tanks of iced tea to the iced tea maker? Not always. So I take off in the truck with the trailer, come home, only to find 4 gallons of iced tea splashed all over every piece of equipment that we had and all over the floor.
Yes.
So yes, it was $40 in iced tea, but it was iced tea that we never sold throughout the day. So kind of like whose line is it anyways?
I remember that one.
The points don't count because the points don't matter.
I had a different one with iced tea.
Yeah.
That had to do with our iced tea jars. You remember that one? Putting ice in it over the ice bin and shattered the jar into the ice bin.
And we don't have an ice maker on board.
No.
So I think we had to melt down the ice, completely clean out the ice bin. And then I
think you ran to Circle K.
Yeah, I got ice. I don't do well in moments of complete despair that are like hasteful. Like it's one little thing. Like I forgot to put coffee. I've done this a few times, but I forgot to put hot coffee lids in the trailer. And then I'm calling Anthony like, I know you're outside cutting the grass, but you need to get in the garage, get coffee lids and get them, down here ASAP because we're 15 minutes to opening. And I think that coffee lids are like the biggest necessity. And if we don't have them, all hell's going to break loose and no one's going to ever come back. Like
that's how I feel. I did that last Saturday.
God, why does our brains go to that? And the customer's just like, oh yeah, okay, no lid.
No problem. All right, we don't have lids. Yeah, it's fine. I didn't need one.
Yeah.
Nobody cares.
Except us.
But to us, the world is ending.
Because we focus on quality. All right. What was it like seeking lending for an established business at the age of, we said 19?
19. Yeah. Very difficult. I had credit history. Credit was pretty good around a 740, but no one really cared. I talked to maybe 10 different banks, applied for a lot of different little SBA stuff, all declined. The most I could get from SBA was like 8,000, which was not enough to cover anything. Could not get lending at my age. And because they didn't see me as buying a business, the business is established, I can just run it. They see it as a startup when you're buying one. Even though it's already running, staying in business, never closing, never changing names.
Mm-hmm.
They see it as brand new and they don't know if you can make money as a new business owner. So it was very difficult for me to find any lending. What I ended up doing was a personal loan, which wasn't much, but it helped me at the beginning.
So I'm going to sound very angry at this point, and it's not towards you, it's towards the federal government. And I want our listeners and viewers to understand that the SBA is the biggest freaking joke that has ever existed in the history of agencies in this nation.
Yes.
I get so mad about this. Here is an individual that is willing to buy a business that is currently functioning and nothing is going to change, has the financials for it that prove that it can afford what he's asking for in that moment, and no one will even consider him.
Right.
There is such a barrier in this nation to small businesses that either are starting up or individuals like Greycen that want to buy an existing business.
Right.
It's insanity. These politicians keep saying that small business is the backbone of our nation. They do nothing. I mean, we if that's the case, this country has freaking osteoporosis because the backbone isn't functioning and it's curved way the hell out of whack.
They don't mean small business. They mean maybe 5 million a year, a little above that.
It's a fucking joke.
Yeah.
That's all I have to say. It agitates me. That's not a small business. If I'm bringing in $5 million a year, me as a CEO is probably making $500,000 plus.
I think they consider small business as under 250 employees.
Yes. And that's what they used for the coronavirus calculations. Yeah. That is crazy. I'm sorry, but that is nuts.
Yep. These large businesses, in my opinion, were getting tons of money, not the actual small businesses that needed it.
Yep. Because politicians don't know what a freaking small business even is. Irritates me. Okay, moving on to a happier note. You have greatly expanded the menu.
Yes.
Where do you find continual inspiration for new recipes?
I go to any new coffee shop I can see. Some of them I don't like, some of them I love. So whenever I'm traveling, I go out of my way to find the good coffee shops. I see what's on their menu. Just a few weeks ago, I saw, they called it the Habibi latte. So kind of Arabic inspired. Had orange blossom, rose water, and cardamom in their latte. It was their Habibi syrup. Delicious. Never heard of any kind of combo like that in a coffee. But just going to other shops, seeing what everyone else is doing, as well as Coffee Fest, the yearly coffee convention where they show all the new products, all the new vendors, where you can buy different sauces from. Learning constantly.
So you brought up Coffee Fest. That was one of my favorite things to attend. And it was not even the full Coffee Fest because it was the first one they held after the pandemic. But like you had said, I had learned so much at that event. And I have to tell you, the reason why we started this podcast was to help other either aspiring business owners or current entrepreneurs not feel so alone on the raft of what essentially is business ownership. And what I can tell you folks is if you have the opportunity to go to a convention, a conference, a festival that is focused in the area of your business, take it. Right. Oh my God, take it. Because you will not even understand what is possible out there sitting in your own little silo as a business owner. You really have to get out and explore and understand where the industry that you're in is headed. And so it is really, really, really important in my eyes.
Very important. And you go to these conventions, there's hundreds, thousands of other business owners in your field, and you can just talk to them. They're from all over. They're from different markets. You see what's going on in their market. So like on our menu, we added these Lotus energy drinks. They're very popular in the Pacific Northwest. We have none of them down here, or at least we didn't a couple of years ago when I started. But tons of people from Oregon and Washington, they're making hundreds of thousands on it. Just this energy syrup every year.
Which brings me to another point is, I think that you, back when I owned it, I think you always saw me as a old guy curmudgeon that held the business back in that sense, because I never went to Coffee Fest. I mean, I only had it for a few years, and then the pandemic was, one of them. But I always kind of held us back because I thought of myself as a purist when it came to a coffee shop and these new energy drink things and these, all these different products that you see. I just thought it cluttered the menu. It wasn't going to really change the amount of money that we were making, which no, it probably didn't change the revenue, but it probably changed the profitability.
Right.
Am I right? Did you see me then in that light? Was I the old curmudgeon? Like, how, be honest with, at least with my listeners and viewers.
You were trying to fit a niche of the purist cafe where you can only buy a cappuccino. We'd make it as a cappuccino, how they did 50 years ago. I mean, I still do that, but I have a lot of other drinks that definitely make a lot of money.
Which is ironic because when I first met you, you were the purist.
I was a purist at the time.
I don't know what happened because you were like, you don't know how to freaking pull a shot, old man. Move aside. And then you're always calibrating crap. It pissed me off.
I calibrate every day. I still do everything correctly. I've just expanded a lot because the people that come, they want everything.
Right.
And I'll make them everything.
I think my biggest fear was that I always felt like I was going to become a carny. You know what I mean? Like, oh, now it's the new biggest gimmick. Like, oh, we have deep fried coffee.
Right.
What? Like,
there are a lot of things I refuse to make. I do not like making fraps. That's not coffee. That's ice cream. We're at construction sites where I'm there from 3 a.m. to 1. At 3 a.m., as soon as I get there, can I get an extra sweet caramel frap, please? That's not coffee. It really doesn't have coffee in it.
3 a.m.
I'm using a powder. I do not like it.
And at 3 a.m.
3 a.m.
Do you like the sound of a freaking blender
it disgusts
at that
me.
early in the morning? Jeez.
I've certainly expanded the menu way past what you had. You had vanilla, caramel, hazelnut, kind of it. I think I have maybe 35 flavors in there.
But that's what I love too. Like when you buy a business from somebody, and I bought one business from someone, and then I bought assets of a business from others. And I will tell you, in both of those experiences, it was so hard to get rid of the individuals that used to be involved with it. And they were always trying to push their opinion, tell you how to run the business, push what products you should carry. Have I ever done that to you?
No, I was lucky to not have someone like that I had to keep around.
And I have to tell you, like, what I love the most about this is I get to sit back and see you grow and develop. I've seen you fall. I've seen you get back up. I've seen you just thrive as an individual, and watching you. When I see you change stuff about it, it doesn't hurt me.
Yeah.
Because I did everything I could do. And that was that time in Urban Grounds history.
Mm-hmm.
And when I handed you those keys, to me, it was me handing off the baton of you being able to take whatever steps necessary to succeed. And you take it to this next level. And that's really, you've done that. And it just blows me away every time I think about it. So I
like the compliments.
But to me, it's more than that too, because I get to see it live on and be successful.
Mm-hmm.
And, I've heard people talking about Urban Grounds in other settings, which is ironic. Typically it's farmers market stuff, and they'll start talking about Urban Grounds, and I'll be like, I used to own that. Greycen used to work for me, and now he owns it, and they have nothing but good things to say about you too. And
I hope so.
Yeah, and I know when you were younger, when you were the 19-year-old, wide-eyed, ambitious. I mean, you're still ambitious, but let's face it, as you get older and you experience these things, time and people and money beat you down.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't diminish your light, but it definitely dims it. And,
right.
you know, and it's hard to be that like energetic and enthusiastic kid you once were.
Right.
And I know for a fact that when you were that wide-eyed 19-year-old living in Phoenix, there were establishments that you thought were, I'm going to use the word stoic, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like they were synonymous with Phoenix.
Right.
When you thought about Phoenix, you thought about Valley Bar. You think about Annie's.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you think about the old cafe that was at the farmer's market.
Yeah.
Right. In a million years, did you ever think that you would own one of those businesses?
No, not at all.
Because that is what you've grown it into.
Yeah.
Either intentionally or not. I do believe that there are folks that for them, Urban Grounds Coffee Company is synonymous with Phoenix.
I've heard them talk to it and talk about it. People that don't live here, they're like, oh, we just got in from the airport. We just wanted to come down here for the coffee. We don't care much for the market, but we just wanted your coffee. It's our favorite. That makes me feel good. That's awesome.
That is a whole different level. It really is. And to me, that was never my intention.
Mm-hmm.
Like I never, that wasn't my purpose. I never thought that would ever be a thing.
You're trying to fund the farm.
Right. Exactly. That is exactly the origin story of that coffee trailer. And so when I talk about businesses, when you own a business and it has its time for you, knowing when to pass that baton is a big piece. And I think it was the perfect handoff and it is where it's supposed to be right now. Everything happened the way it was supposed to happen. So, I mean, I think another thing too that we touched on that our viewers really should take into consideration that if you are selling your business, once you've sold it, stay the hell out of it. It is no longer yours. You know what is yours? The money that you put into the bank from the check that you received from the person that bought it. Mm-hmm. That's what's yours. The business is no longer there. And you know what your job is from now on after you sell a business? Is to be caring and supportive of that new business owner, because that is what they're going to need. And if your phone rings and their name pops up, you answer it and you answer the questions that they have, because that is what it means to be a business owner. I really hate sometimes, and owning a business in Scottsdale, Arizona, you get some characters in.
Oh yeah.
And the fast talkers, and they act like they're movers and shakers. They really aren't. I mean, it scares me to death to think that those people have done any business deals, but apparently they have. But those folks, they're all about the dollar and then they're out. Mm-hmm. They don't care about it. So there's like this spectrum of caring after you sell a business. Yeah. I feel like, right?
For sure.
The ones that are overbearing, still trying to control the damn company that they don't own anymore, mm-hmm. all the way to the ones that probably gave you fake books and financials. So they totally screwed you. Mm-hmm. The customer base didn't exist that they said existed. They overcharged you for assets that were not functioning, and they hit the road. At the same token, I think when you buy a business that's in existence, you have to approach it in a way also that you're buying used equipment. A good example is Chadwick's. Mm-hmm. I sold it no more than a week later. The coffee grinder, the like big commercial one that we ground bulk in, stopped working. I don't know why it stopped working. It worked for us for
we had no problem
3 years. So and you don't know what the user did. And right. I'm talking on the viewpoint of the seller, but the buyer thinks that I sold him a shoddy piece of equipment. Mm-hmm. So what I'm trying to say is you as the buyer also has to have some type of realization or compassion towards the seller in that they weren't malicious.
Right. In most cases.
You really have to gauge that.
Yeah.
Right. And I've been in the position too. You'll get there at someday as well. Like you will sell a business at some point, and there's information that you have as a business owner that could make or break a deal or cost you money in the deal that you withhold, even though you know that it's going to affect the business operation for the individual.
Right.
I hate that part of business. I really do. And it's not that it is not inappropriate or it's unethical, because there might be, an example would be if you were buying a business that has a lease and the landlord is not symbiotic and not supportive. It is not your responsibility to tell the new buyer that that's the way the landlord is. That's not your responsibility.
It sucks that you have to hide that, but
it kills me on the inside. Like when there's things like that happen, or, other things are, I don't want to go into that, I guess. It's kind of a strange topic, but those are parts of selling a business that really make it difficult and not easy, I would say. You as a buyer, how do you feel? The way I kind of described those things.
It's hard not to blame you when things are breaking. Like, oh, you should have known this water pump was failing, because it was working fine when you had it. I've had to replace the water pump 8 different times.
Yeah.
So I know it's not you that gave me a dying water pump or a dying machine, or that the water pump belt would break on the generator. So it's hard not to blame who you bought it from when everything starts failing. That's just time.
Yeah, it is. And the way you run a business is that you use the equipment until it doesn't work anymore. I don't know when that is.
Right.
Nobody does.
Yeah.
It could be tomorrow. It could have been, we just sat down and talked with Rosie and Brian from Rosie's Kitchen, Inspired Cuisine. They're another food truck trailer. And something that they talked about was after they bought it, they felt like every piece of equipment started failing
right away.
And even they admitted, like, the hood, they said it was brand new and it failed.
It just happens. No one's trying to screw you over. It just, things break.
Yeah. Looking back, do you have any regrets?
I wouldn't say with the business. No. Personally, yes. Should have stayed in college. Did put that on pause for the business, but in the business and buying the business, no regrets. I like being my own boss and making all of the decisions. Even though they're stressful decisions, I get to do it.
Yep, you're an entrepreneur. It's a disease.
Yeah. I like the control.
We could go into so much depth with, again, going back to that wide-eyed young guy. And, I remember you saying, I want to be a doctor and, all these things. Life is interesting. And the one thing that when we talked about those moments of despair, like I've seen that in your eyes before and it resonates with me. And so, I've done things, I hope, to help you alleviate some of that in moments. Because I think that's what my job is. My job at this point isn't to tell you how to run your business, but to help where I can help.
Yeah.
And there's been moments to me where I'm like, oh, he's done. Like I think it broke him. Like I think we're at the point where it's over. And you just keep going. You're like the Energizer Bunny. And I worry about that, but one thing that I hope before you get to that point, you would come to me, because what I would tell you, and I'm pre-telling you, but you just go back, you rewind, rewatch this episode so you can listen to what I'm about to say, is that if there's one thing that I have learned in business, is not to be so quick to throw away something or end something. Chadwick's was a little bit different for me. After 3 years, our lease was up and there were some struggles when it came to our location. So I decided that my time was better spent elsewhere. But that business made money. It could have survived past the 5-year mark, and we would have been in a much better position, and it would have became an even better place.
Right.
And a less stressful business for me to run. You incrementally grow as a business. And you described one of those steps of how it was hard to find somewhere to go with the coffee trailer. And now you're at that step where people are contacting you.
Yeah.
There are other steps that you will find as you continue to grow. Once your loans are paid off, let's just say the first one, then the second one. And now all that revenue is just free flowing cash.
Yeah.
Those are steps that are out there on the horizon. And if you just stick with it, that is when you reap what you sow. If you give up now, you will never get to harvest the fruits of your labor. And it is so hard as an entrepreneur, dodging and ducking and weaving all of these freaking external problems that just seem to always creep in.
Right.
And it seems so easy to just want to walk away. But don't. You are so close to the next step. I know it. I can feel it. I can see it. And there are probably people out there watching and listening that are at that same moment. But I'm not kidding you. If you're at year 3, the probability of you surviving to year 5 is so likely because you haven't failed in the first 2 years.
Exactly.
Keep at it. And, I know this sounds silly, but sometimes it's nice if you just write those goals or those steps down and say, okay, if I make it, my car rental business is a good example. I am so damn wishy-washy on that freaking business. It irritates the hell out of me. There are so many external factors that drive me crazy. But I keep thinking to myself, some of those car loans are just about paid off. And then those cars will be making pure profit, but pretty damn close to it.
Right.
If I sell the car now, I have nothing. I've gained nothing. I have lost nothing. It is like I shouldn't say that. It is like I didn't work and put my blood, sweat, and tears into anything over the last 3 years with that company. That's like dying with your life having no meaning.
Yeah.
So what do? I continue to struggle every day.
Yeah.
Just like all of you, just like you. And
struggle for a little bit longer.
Exactly. Because that is what entrepreneurship is. If we could sum it up into like one really good analogy.
Yeah.
Okay. I think that's it for today.
All right.
Thank you so much for sitting down and talking with me.
Of course.
I know it has taken some time. You're a busy guy. I didn't know this, but you are back in school.
Yes.
Yeah. Feeling good about that?
Yeah, very good. I have more drive to do it now.
Yeah. Because you are so in control of your destiny.
Yeah.
More than myself.
Right.
Well, congrats on that. I mean, I knew it would be something that you'd come back to. I don't know. All I can tell you is I am so proud of you. I mean, I am not your parent, but I've always kind of felt like I'm your entrepreneurial guardian angel and, hopefully looking out for you the best that I can and being there when you need me. If you ever need me, I mean, you pretty much have everything under control, but, yeah, I mean, I can't thank you enough. I don't have kids and I can't thank you enough for, taking that opportunity to sit down and interview with me so long ago and becoming part of my life. And I'm getting teary because, like I said, I don't have kids, and it's at least, one of those moments I get to be a part of somebody's life and help them be the best person that they are and live the best life that they can. So I can't thank you enough.
Thank you. It's been 7 years, a long time.
It is crazy to think about. It really is. And hopefully we'll have 7 years of this podcast. People will be tired of listening to me by then. All right, folks. Thank you so much for joining us and discovering Grace and I's relationship, which has lasted what we just said over 7 years, and tuning into the Every Turn podcast. Like I said in the beginning, please like our episodes. Please subscribe to our channels, and please share this content with your friends and colleagues that you think might be able to gain something from the information that we've shared over the last few episodes and the episodes to come. I promise, as you can see, the studio has changed a bit. There's going to be some new short content coming out that will hopefully help you to understand aspects of quality improvement and other tools and tips, tricks of the trade of just being an entrepreneur, owning your own business. Until then, I'm Chad Chase, and I want to thank you for being part of my story. And just like that, this episode of the Every Turn podcast is complete. I'd like to thank my guest for visiting with me on this episode, and to you, our listeners. Let's meet back here next week and discover the next turn. If you enjoy our content, please subscribe to our channel on your favorite podcast provider. Until next time, I'm Chad Chase.